And welcome to Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams. Glad to have you with us today. We have an interesting show for you. Remember the event that was held the other day in Albany, and then there was another one held in Salem. It was called Get Ready Albany and Get Ready Salem. It's about items and concerns we need to take into account to be ready in case of natural disasters or some kind of an event that might happen just in our home or neighborhood or community. Well, today we have Darrell Tedisch, who is chair of the Local Emergency Committee here on Valley Talk. Darrell, thank you for being with us on the show.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
And if you have any questions, you can give me an email at dave@kgal.com, dave@kgal.com. Let's say you couldn't attend the Get Ready event and you have some questions. Well, we'll be talking about that this morning. John Gibson also in the studio, and as always, we're keeping an eye on the Middle East, keeping an eye on the presidential race and the economy. John, What's going on in the economy?
Well, overall, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, came out yesterday and lowered global growth from 3.5% to 3.3%. So today, of course, the markets are down. Yesterday, the markets were down, mostly on some Greece issues. But what you're seeing is the start of the fourth quarter. People are taking profits. People are finding any reason at all to lighten up on stocks. And so it's not a big catastrophe. I don't think this is the start of a big downturn, but I think that this is just normal profit taking, and anything could spark a problem. You know, in the Middle East, we have gas at $5 a gallon in California. Those sort of things are going to show up. And so people are calling for a slowdown in earnings for the third quarter. And so we're going to just start today with Alcoa. They report tonight. It's the very first of the 30 Dow stocks. And as the saying goes, as Alcoa goes, so goes the market. So tonight, you know, we could see something that might cause a little bit of a sell-off tomorrow. So I'm kind of taking profits. I don't know what my capital gains rate's going to be next year, so I'm taking dividend-paying stocks like Microsoft, and I'm getting rid of those. So that's what I'm doing in my little world.
Okay, and more about John's little world and our bigger world here as we take a look at the, I think, John, couple trigger points that everybody's waiting for. Number one, the election. Of course, we have another debate coming up with the current vice president and the vice president candidate for the Republican Party. Going to be interesting. A lot of comments from both Obama and Romney supporters about the Obama-Romney debate. Of course, everybody generally concedes that Romney, if you just take that debate on face value, Romney won that debate. But it's interesting that the Obama supporters are sticking to their guns.
Well, yeah. That 47% comment that Romney made, that it was pretty kind of accurate. And there's 47% that would never vote for Obama. You know? It's that 6% in the middle that they're going for. And frankly, when I saw Romney, I saw flashes of Reagan. You know? I saw some strong stuff, and he's a businessman. I've said over and over to people, who do you want to have elected? I want a businessman or businesswoman, somebody that knows how to run a company, somebody who's made payroll before. I always wanted Jack Welch to run for president. He was the CEO of General Electric back when General Electric was really a viable company. And they called him Chainsaw Jack because when they would buy a company, he would come in and fire half of the people and just tell the other half, either pick it up or I'll find somebody else. And that's why GE was so good. But then he came out with that jobs number being a conspiracy thing and kind of lost some credibility. But, it's a very tenable thing. And even at 7.8 unemployment, this is not a thriving economy. And that's what I want, is a thriving America.
Do you feel like, and I hear this on the street quite a bit, everybody's waiting on the election? Do you feel that businesses are waiting? Which way are we going to go? Are we going to go to Obamacare? Are we going to repeal it? It's like everybody's waiting for the other shoe to fall.
I called my accountant the other day. She goes, you know what wakes me up in the middle of the night?
What's that?
I don't know what your taxes are going to be next year. I don't know until the election is over. So everybody is just jammed up. And businesses aren't working, banks aren't lending, although there is a little increase in business lending. That has gone up about 3 or 4% over the last couple of months. So that's a positive. But people know it's the people that sign the front of the check want Romney, and the people that sign the back of the check want Obama. And it used to be that there was a lot more people signing the front of the check. And we're not getting that anymore. Job growth, if you want to put it all in perspective, Obama's job growth is averaging 4% a year.
Mm-hmm.
Since World War II, the average is 8%. And during when Reagan was in office at the same time that Obama is today, 31 months in, he was averaging 11% job growth. Okay? So throw the 7.8 out. It's an aberration. It was not a conspiracy. There's a lot of people out there. It was not a rigged number. I don't like Obama at all, but he is not capable of rigging the jobs number. Okay. So, but it was an aberration. That part of the unemployment rate comes from 0.6% of households in America. They call them up. You have a job. You want a job. The 114,000 jobs that we created comes from 1 out of 3 businesses being surveyed by the government. Have you hired? That's where that number comes from. So that number has stayed the same. This other one that dropped the unemployment rate to 7.8 is just an aberration, and next month it'll be readjusted and it'll go back up to 8%. And, so
more with this conversation last half of the show. We do want to remind you that tomorrow is Vet Talk. It is the second Wednesday of the month. Victor Coons will be in studio. In fact, we will not be in the studio. We're going to be in Portland taking a look at veterans issues. And so hang on for that. It's going to be interesting. It'll be live from Portland as we take a look at Vet Talk with Victor Coons. That's tomorrow from 11 to noon here on KGAL. Darrell Tedisch, Chair of the Local Emergency Committee, thank you for being with us on Valley Talk.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
The Get Ready community event in Albany. What do you think of the turnout? Questions people were asking? What was your takeaway from that event?
Well, I thought that the turnout was very good. It's most that I've seen in an event like that. It's generally difficult to get the notice out to people and then have them come out to an event like at a park. But it looks like Northwest Natural did a very good job of advertising and getting people there, and they had a good cross-section of booths. So that individuals could have all of their questions asked. And typically, I had more people come up and talk to me about the Mid-Valley LEPC than I've had in other events. So it went very well.
Mid-Valley LEPC, Local Emergency Committee.
Planning Committee.
Planning Committee.
Very difficult to explain to people what that means.
Well, we've got about 15 minutes here.
So good.
What do you guys do?
Well, as you recall, back in 1984, there was a Bhopal incident, and that was in India, where there was a large chemical release. And after that, the federal government took an interest in hazardous materials planning specifically. And there really was planning that was going on, but it wasn't very organized from the federal government down. So they passed a law that said that you had to have local emergency planning, and they wanted committees developed across the United States. And typically, states would go ahead and have one committee for one county within their state. And in Oregon, they chose to have one planning committee across the whole state. And after a period of time, they determined that that wasn't working very well. So in the last 2 years, they've gone back and asked that organizations go ahead and get together and create a local emergency planning committee for hazardous materials specifically, though you can do planning for all hazards. And so our particular group was organized in January of 2009, and we actually cover both Linn and Benton counties, and we have facilities that have extremely hazardous chemicals on site, and then we also have schools and hospitals and emergency response representatives there. And our function is to focus on hazardous materials, We don't develop a plan because that's already been completed, really, in the state of Oregon. They have an excellent response plan. But we do training and review of exercise or of plans between the organizations.
So what questions did people in Albany have as they came up to
They
you
just
for
wanted
briefs?
to know what we did, because most people, when you say Mid-Valley LEPC, it's like, okay, what is that? Then
You're
if
the
you
power
say-
company or what?
Well, yeah, and then if you say local emergency planning committee, I mean, that really still doesn't say anything. So you kind of have to go through and let them know that we plan for hazardous material releases is what we basically do. And those are at fixed sites. They're not necessarily transportation releases. And so once you begin to talk to them about how we do the planning, the fact that there are actually 3 levels of review for plans. There's phase 1, 2, and 3. And phase 1 is where a facility and the emergency responder gets together and they actually go over both of their plans together. They identify where gaps are at, and then in the next year they work on those gaps. Once you explain to people what we do, then they really appreciate it and understand that there's something that's being done in case there's an emergency.
So are you talking like, remember the paper mill that we used to have?
Right.
Operated, they would have a lot of hazardous material, I would
Right.
assume. So would you be involved with any of that, or would that be just their property?
Well, they would be a member, they were a member of the Mid-Valley LEPC. They had a plan so that if there was a release, then it kind of identified what their employees would do, what the expectations of the emergency responders. And part of the phase 1 would be that a representative from the paper mill would get together with a representative from the fire department, and they would talk about that plan.
And you would be involved with that also,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah. And
Okay.
the Mid-Valley LAPC would be the one that would sponsor that and then kind of coordinate it. And then there used to be a state representative that would come down and help facilitate that and then actually put together a report. Now we as the Mid-Valley LAPC would facilitate.
And you're under the umbrella of the state.
Yes, we are.
Now, Darrell, I don't want to get you in trouble here, so you know when I preface a question with that, it's like, oh boy, Dave, here you go. So you're chair of the local emergency planning committee. So as you work with the local entities here, emergency services, the utilities, major companies, major employers, so on and so forth, and interface with the public, like at the Get Ready Albany event, where do we need to improve?
Well, actually, we're doing pretty good. I have been the chair since 2009, and I've got to say that the facilities that have the extremely hazardous chemicals do an excellent job of having plans put together and exercising those plans on a regular basis so that their employees are trained, understand the plan, and know what to do during a release. And they work very well with their local emergency responders. In most cases, the fire department are the first responders, but also with the police agencies and then ultimately the hazmat teams. But the hazmat teams this last year for us is Region 5, and they have been to Lincoln County, they've been to Eugene, and they've been in Linn and Benton County to do training. And so I would say that for a chemical release on a fixed site, we are in a very good position. And we meet every month, but we do a lot of training between the facilities and the responders. So we really haven't identified gaps that, big gaps that we need. There's always gaps when you do training that you have to work on, but...
Boy, normally I'm opposed to government spending and all that, but these places like a Watchang, these are the real jobs, man. These are jobs that people can raise a family on, and so this is a program that I'm very glad that you're in charge of this.
Well, and I will repeat that the facilities are doing an excellent job of of putting together plans, training their employees, and then making sure that they exercise those plans so that if something happens, they understand their responsibilities, and everybody that has been involved have taken those on and done a good job.
One of the things that I like about the Get Ready event is that it tells people that you need to take responsibility for your own welfare for, was it 72 hours?
They say it's 72, yes.
Okay. So let's say we have a major ice storm. Roads are closed. This happened a lot where I was from back in eastern Oregon. In Bend, you would have snowstorms, and you had a hard time getting around for a day or so. Here, sometimes in western Oregon, you have major ice storms. Pull the power lines down. We've heard stories back east of cities being without power for days. So we as local residents need to have a 72-hour kit, medication, enough food in the house. You know, we shouldn't have a situation arise where there's enough food for the next 6 hours, but for the next couple of days that you can survive.
Right. Well, one of the things that you're absolutely right. People need to understand they need to take care of themselves. In Joplin, you remember when the hurricane or the tornado hit the hospital, they felt that they had adequate supplies at the hospital for 72 hours. I believe the number that they finally released was that they had adequate supplies for 6, because they underestimated the impact that would have. And what people need to realize is that emergency services are not going to be able to come to all of the requests that are going to be made for services. They have to take care of themselves first, their neighborhood second. And so there's training programs that are out there, preparedness programs that will train people to do that, but and prepare them, but they've got to get involved with those. And like the preparedness with Northwest Natural, there was great opportunity. American Red Cross was there. They've got plenty of material.
And they gave out free kits.
Right, free kits that were given there. Also, the Linn County Public Health gave out starter kits for that. Unfortunately, there's only 30 of them, and they went in about 5 minutes, but it's a starter kit. So people need to focus on taking care and being prepared themselves.
One of the ways you can be prepared is just sit down and say, okay, for the next 72 hours, what do I need?
Right.
I need heart medication, I need asthma medication, I need whatever. Okay, check. And food, water, so on and so forth. But if you actually sit down and think about it, or make a list, and just start making a list today, and then for the next 72 hours, make a list of everything you do, you're going to find that there's some things you hadn't thought about. And that's part of being prepared.
Well, yes. And actually, Linn and Benton County Emergency Management both have booklets that are called preparedness. They're the orange booklets. That's what they go by. But it'll go through step by step on what you need to think about, what you need to be prepared for, what you need to document, so that if your power's out for 3 days, I mean, are you going to have adequate cash on hand? Most people don't carry a lot of cash anymore. So if you need to go to the store, you're going to have that. Have you got fuel so that you can be transporting from one location?
I have kind of a weird question. When you said
I like
that,
weird questions. Go ahead.
Well, I live out in the country. You know, if we lost our power and our water, you know, I could go out in the backwoods and relieve myself. What would people in the city do for 72 hours with no water or anything in their water system?
They'd come in your backyard and relieve yourself.
Well, come on out, man. We're all Americans.
The water system in Albany is pretty high, and they have reservoirs. So unlike you in the country, if you're using a well, you need some kind of generator in order to be able to turn the pump on. But here, it kind of flows downhill for the most part. Now, in the flatlands, it doesn't as well do that, but it does have, because of the storage, does have pressure. So there will be some water for a period of time, but if people are using the facilities, they're just going to have to stack it up for a little bit until the water...
Goodness sakes.
Because
I just had never thought of that.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things on your list.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And you can have, and they suggest that you have drinking water and then non-drinking water.
Yeah, non-potable
water also, so that you can then
fill up your
flush
tank.
your tank.
Yeah. More with Darrell Tedisch, chair of the local emergency planning committee, and John Gibson as we look at the economy and what at least we observe going on in just a moment. We do want to remind you, I forgot to do this early on in the show, is that if you would like to win a $10 gift certificate from Quiznos, you can send me an email, dave@kgal.com. Quiznos Taste on Us is what you want to put on the subject line of that email. At the end of the show, we're going to draw a name out, and that lucky person will get a $10 certificate. They can use it for sandwiches, chips, drinks, whatever you want. Or call KGAL at 541-451-KGAL or 541-926-KGAL or 926-8683 and say you want to be entered in the Quiznos Taste on Us giveaway. This is Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams, and we'll be right back.
You know they're waiting for you. Every month they show up in your mailbox, ready to take a bigger bite out of your budget. Well, now it's time to reel in those high utility bills with the new Trane home comfort system from Reliable Heating, because for a limited time, you can get up to $1,250 rebate with the purchase of qualifying Trane heating and cooling system. That's right, up to $1,250 rebate when you purchase a qualifying Trane heating and cooling system. Plus, with financing available for qualified buyers, Reliable Heating makes it easy to stay cozy this winter. Also, as a trade ally contractor of Energy Trust of Oregon, Reliable can help with cash incentives and state energy tax credits to improve the energy efficiency of your home. Save money, save energy with Energy Trust. For more information about this great offer, call Reliable Heating and Air Conditioning at 367-8706. That's 367-8706. Hurry, this offer won't last long. And remember, it's hard to stop a Trane. See your participating independent Trane dealer or visit Trane.com for complete program eligibility, dates, details, and restrictions. Offer valid August 15th through October 31st, 2012.
Coming this weekend, it's the second annual Samaritan Health Services Living Well Expo at Heritage Mall in Albany, presented by Bi-Mart and a Turning Leaf Home Medical. There are over 80 booths promoting healthy, fun, and fulfilling lifestyles. Bring the family. It's free. Enjoy the exhibits, special sales, and Bi-Mart micro-reality racing track, and continuous entertainment on the Monarch Medical Weight Loss main stage. See performances by local magicians, the Lebanon High School dance team, the Square Dance Alliance, Albany Civic Theater, Cascade Performing Arts, and more. Explore new hobbies and visit health screenings ranging from blood pressure tests to breast and cervical cancer detection. Learn about nutrition, including the Oregon Healthy Kids program. Ever wondered how much that rare book, those old Victorian pieces or other old items might be worth? Local advanced collectors will be on hand to give you an evaluation of your items starting at noon. Don't miss the second annual Samaritan Health Services Living Well Expo, presented by Bi-Mart and a Turning Leaf Home Medical, coming this weekend at Heritage Mall in Albany.
Hello, I'm John Kohler from the Mennonite Village Foundation. I'd like to extend a special invitation to you, your friends, and family to join us at our 10th Annual Celebration of Community. This year's event is Thursday, October 25th at 6 p.m. in Lakeside Center at Mennonite Village. In recognition of our 65th anniversary, our theme this year is Bridge to the Future. Social Insecurity, a really great barbershop quartet, will provide the entertainment and is sure to delight you. The menu consists of slow-roasted beef brisket and all the trimmings, and will be provided by Mennonite Village Dining Services. We'll finish off the meal with warm peach cobbler topped with whipped cream. This year's tickets for the event are just $65 and are partially tax deductible. You can reserve them now by calling 541-704-4248. That's 704-4248. For each ticket purchase, you'll have a chance to win an authentic handmade Amish quilt. Seating is limited, so call today, 704-4248.
Home improvement will never be the same once you've heard The Money Pit. Saturday mornings on Smart Talk 1580.
KGAL Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams. Glad to have you back with us on the show again. Quiznos Taste on Us. Subject line on the email, dave@kgal.com is the email address, please. And you can call us also at 541-926-8683. And Quiznos Taste on Us. Asked to be put in the drawing, and we will draw a name at the end of the show today. Guest today, Darrell Tedisch, chair of the Local Emergency Planning Committee. More with him and John Gibson. We do want to remind you that tomorrow is Vet Talk. We're going to be in Portland talking about veterans issues from a statewide perspective with Victor Coons. And listen for that tomorrow. We'll be coming live from Portland here on Vet Talk, here on KGAL from the 11 to noon time slot. John, you had a question for Darrell.
Yeah, I was not aware that there's a whole structure set up that if communications and everything goes down, certain people are already authorized to be kind of in charge. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? And where would the average person go if his car ran where would you want them to go in an emergency?
Well, first of all, the bigger question is there something in place for organization during an emergency? And the answer is yes to that, because both in Linn and Benton County, and actually all counties across the state of Oregon, they have plans in which outlines what will take place in the way of response structures. So you have your police and fire and public works that will normally respond, but at another level, a little higher level, you have your emergency operations centers, and those emergency operations centers really coordinate activity that are taking place in the city and or at the county level. And then there's different functions that are going to be filled out, and there's individuals that are then trained to be able to carry out those. Generally, they have to do with logistics or PIO.
PIO, what's that?
Public Information Officer.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry about
No,
that.
I just want to let everybody know.
Yeah. Financial, and then the operations portion of it. And that's all spelled out. They have exercised that. In fact, in Benton County, they do an emergency management team in which they have people that are pre-identified so that they can actually do that. And so each location will open up an emergency operations center. That will be the heart of the organization, and if people then need to, they can go to those locations. In Linn County, it would be at the jail. In the city of Albany, it would be at our city hall, and in Benton County, it would be at the police department there. So that would be where people would go to kind of get information.
Did we
but
learn?
It's all well organized.
Did we learn? And we could probably talk for days on this next question, but we won't. We'll try to capitalize it here in a couple of minutes. 9/11. We learned some significant lessons during that tragedy, didn't we? About incident response, communications, so on and so forth.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Irregardless of whether you think it was a conspiracy or the government blew up the buildings or whatever, there was a disaster, and emergency response had to occur, and there were some gaps in the system.
Yes, there were, and they have been identified. It's just like with Katrina. I think that if you look at that, there were gaps in those systems there, and emergency management always goes back and looks at those gaps to see what they need to do to be better prepared. Communications is always the biggest one because it is so difficult to try and communicate across lines, police to fire, fire to public works, and state to federal, down to local. And so they are working on trying to improve that, but that costs millions and millions of dollars to be able to do that. Response then is the second one that generally is looked at, and I think that the federal government has done a good job of saying, look, here's what you need to do, here's what you need to be training on, here's the areas that you need to work on and exercise on. So I think that you'll find generally across the United States our response efforts are going to be better. But you can just imagine that anytime you have a large incident that's going on, there's confusion that's taking place, and it's very, very difficult to quickly organize.
And I think it's such a big difference if it's a natural disaster versus a terrorist attack.
Yes,
sure. I mean, I think that hurricane that they had in Missouri, I mean, everybody just came together,
Well, and there is a difference because one is you can plan for a hurricane, say it's flooding, those you can plan for, but one that takes place right now is much more difficult to because you're already behind the 8 ball on that. And it's hard to catch up.
And one of the things, again, we're back to planning here, but let's take Katrina for an example. If things go south, fall apart and things degrade, you can have the disaster self-propagate. In other words, the situation gets worse and worse and worse because local facilities are overwhelmed. People don't know what to do. Like it was at the Superdome in New Orleans. You had disasters occurring because they weren't ready to take care of the first disaster.
Well, yeah, and I think that if you look at what has taken place now at the federal level with FEMA, and you look at what was taking place then, now the individual that they have in charge of FEMA actually came from Florida, and he was a state director there, and prior to that was a local. He understands response. He understands what we need to do to be better prepared, and so there hasn't been as much complaining about about FEMA and their response, because they're really responding forward now with better prepared people and individuals.
You know what the most important part of your job is? Maintaining control of, if the general public feels that there's no one in charge, then you get mob rule.
You get panic.
That's your most important job, is that you're maintaining civil order.
That's right. People need to feel comfortable that there is something being done, that you're moving forward, and then you have to keep them informed about what is taking place in the response phase and what they need to do to prepare themselves and what you're going to be doing in the future.
You got a pretty serious job.
Yeah.
Well,
But communication is also important. You got to get the word out to the masses.
That's correct. And that can be difficult because, if you think about the power being out, how are we going to get the power to the masses when you do that? And in some cases, you just you create pieces of paper that you hang in locations where people are going to be, so that they can then read what is taking place. Something as simple as that, you can get it out to people. But like we talked before, not everybody uses the same media to get their information. What I liked during the flood in January, if I can do this.
Sure, go ahead.
The Democrat Herald had a live blog in which people could ask questions and people could answer, and you could give updates, and that was used by so many people because of the fact they could say, I'm in Albany, I need to get to Lebanon, is there a road closed? And within minutes there was an answer from somebody out in the public. That's pretty
good.
fast.
That's good.
Government can't put information out that quickly because you can't get the information so that you can send it out. And that worked really well.
Yeah. Part of the response plan should be, if the disaster is large enough, the internet might go down.
Right.
But in the case that you're quoting, obviously the internet was up, and it would be a huge communication avenue to people in the event of a
right.
flood or so on and so
Typically,
forth.
for floods, snowstorms, ice storms, those areas where you may not have as much electrical go out, with some windstorms. If you have major power outages, you're going to have a problem in that area. But if you don't, then social media is becoming bigger and bigger now. Tweeting information, using Facebook information, going out, all of those.
And then, of course, the battery-operated radio, if
Art Bell's good for something, isn't he? He sells all that good stuff.
In Linn and Benton County, they do have the Linn Benton alert system, in which if they need to send a message out to everybody in Linn and Benton County, they can do that to their landlines. And then if you and I sign up for the system so that we received it on our telephones or our computers, we can also receive a message there. And that's been used in both Linn and Benton County for a number of incidences.
I did not know that you could sign up for a system that they would contact you on your cell phone.
Yes,
How do you do that?
You go to the Linn or Benton County Sheriff's webpage, and you will see a logo there that says Linn Benton Alert, and then just click on that and follow it through, and you can sign up to 10 devices. So you can have your computer, a pager, a telephone. You don't need to sign up your landline because it's kind of a reverse system, so they've already got that capability. But
they can type a message into the system and it'll just go out.
It'll just go out to
I think people need to know that.
Email.
See, and a good example of that is that sometimes when we have people lost in Linn County, they will use that system to send a message out to that area to individuals that have signed up, or they use their landline to let them know we have somebody lost. Here's a description. If you see them, let us know.
Interesting.
And
Sounds
search
good.
and rescue, they've done it too.
Darrell, how do people get in touch with you, or resources of your office and what you do?
My work telephone number is 541-917 2275.
I know we don't dial anymore, right?
No,
that's why it's so hard to remember our numbers.
Okay.
Do it one more time, just in case people didn't.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's 541-917 7725. 7725.
Okay, 7725.
7725. We got it. Okay. Darrell, thank you for
Sorry.
being with us.
You
That's
bet.
fine. Thank you for being with us on Valley Talk today. We'll continue our conversation with John Gibson as we talk about the Middle East, economy, what's coming up in the financial markets today, what we're all kind of concerned about. We were, John, talking a little bit ago about $6 gas in California.
Yeah. It's not here because they have their own special blend. And 4 of the refineries have been shut down. There's 10 left that make this blend. And so that's why it's just in California. They had a fire in one of their major refineries yesterday or the day before, and that's
So
what caused all this.
Of course, that special blend in California has been somewhat controversial, and it's very expensive, as I understand.
Yes.
But because of that, and then because supply and demand shortage.
And funny,
$6 a
Dianne
gallon.
Feinstein, a Democrat out of California, is going to call for a federal investigation over the gas prices in California because she, quote, does not believe in supply and demand. But that's the issue.
Okay.
So, there you go.
This is Valley Talk, and we will continue in just a moment.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit autoowners.com. This is Charles Osgood. Some scientists at the University of Manchester in England have developed a prototype for a magic carpet. You know, I've always thought a magic carpet would be a wonderful thing, but I'd be afraid of falling off. This magic carpet is specially designed to reduce falls, but unlike those in the Arabian Nights, it is not a means of transportation. It stays put. It's intended to protect the elderly in nursing homes and assisted living facilities where injuries from falls are all too common. The story after this. In this moment, who has your back? Do you know the name of your insurance agent? Does your agent know your name? Or would you call a 1-800 number that connects you with who? Another state? Another country? Get a local, independent insurance agent with Auto Owners Insurance. Someone you can call when bad stuff happens to your car, home, or business. In this moment, get an agent who will protect you in that moment. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people.
In Albemarle, call Bear Insurance Service at 704-982-1156.
Call the Glass Doctor, we'll fix your pain. We can handle all of your insurance claims. We're the quickest cure whenever your glass breaks. Call us 7 days a week and we'll be there. Your home, car, or business, or anywhere. Windows, mirrors, tabletops, we'll take good care of you. Call the Glass Doctor, we'll fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
For the nearest Glass Doctor location, call 877-620-8338.
The University of Manchester professors who developed this special so-called magic carpet explain what it is.
This is a piece of polymer optical fiber, or plastic optical fiber as we call it.
That's Dr. Patricia Scully.
And the fiber is made up of a two-dimensional mesh or grid.
When someone treads on the carpet, it sends electronic signals to a computer where the movement is plotted in real time. That can do 2 things, says Professor Chris Todd.
One is detect when a fall has occurred and can act as an alarm for an older person. And the other thing it can do is give us forewarning if a person's gait changes, their walking pattern changes, which may be an indicator of future falls. But we can train people to exercise interventions with older people to reduce those risks.
Professor Krikor Ozanian says it's tomography, similar to that used in ultrasound pregnancy scanners.
So the signal that those sensors are sending are useful in order to reconstruct an image of the footprint. And in this particular implementation, we can make a magic carpet.
Well, not quite.
But it is good for many other things, for imaging temperature, for example.
Yeah, you might have to call it something else. The Osgood File. Transcripts, podcasts, and MP3s of these programs can be found at theosgoodfile.com. This is Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
When you look out across Willamette Valley, you'll see plenty of banking choices. But we're here to give you an option that's pretty unique, like no other in fact. Hi, I'm Dave Wood, President and CEO of Willamette Community Bank. We provide an alternative to large national and regional banks by offering customized financial services and local decision-making to benefit local people, local families, and local businesses. How many banks can say that? Willamette Community Bank, service like no other, we promise. Member FDIC.
Lassen RV in Albany has the new RV models on the lot now, ready for you to buy. Lassen RV Service Department has the new truckload of parts and accessories on sale. Converted ultra quiet generators at bargain prices, electric tongue jacks on sale, along with replacing cabinetry, custom tile, and new flooring. From changing a light bulb to rebuilding your entire RV. No job is too big or too small for Lassen RV in Albany. Call now, 541-917-7395. Go online at LassenRV.com. Lassen RV, where friends send their friends.
Did you know there are about 1 million pellet stoves and inserts in the United States and Canada, yet just over 80 mills throughout North America to supply them? One of the best is in our own backyard, right there in Mill City. Pack Saddle Pellets from Frank Lumber. Made from 100% Douglas fir, Pack Saddle Pellets are now at Economy Supply Building Center. Pack Saddle Pellets have no chemical additives and provide consistent, clean-burning heat at an Economy Supply price you'll love. Economy Supply Building Center, where Highway 34 meets Tangent Street in Lebanon.
Science and Common Sense. Dr. Bill Wattenberg will surprise you Sunday nights live on Smart Talk 1580.
KGAL Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams. Again, don't forget to sign up for Quiznos Taste on Us. Put Taste on Us on the subject line. Send me an email at dave@kgal.com or give KGAL a call at 926-KGAL or 451-KGAL. Or another number you can call is 926-8683. And good luck with that. We'll draw a name out of the hat at the end of the show. Hopefully you'll win. John, let's talk about finances, economy, earnings seasons on the horizon.
Well, to
not
start
robust.
on the big scale of things, the International Monetary Fund came out yesterday and lowered global growth from 3.5% to 3.3%. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that definitely affects everyone's GDP. So that's one reason the markets are down today and yesterday. But the other thing that's going on is that we have this election coming up, and people are just there's no clear advantage, although Romney has really came back in the polls and is now pulling even, although there's so many different polls. The market speculators are saying that if Romney is elected, there's a good chance of, maybe an 800-point jump in the market, just because the idea that he would come in and do away with some of these Dodd-Frank regulations that just got passed. They're murderous to the big banks, and to the little banks, they're going to put them out of business. So there's a strong desire for that. They're saying if Obama is reelected, because of the tax cuts going away and Obamacare kicking in, that we could see a 10%, maybe 15% correction in the market, meaning that would go down about 1,400 points. So that's what the market's looking at. And when I invest looking forward 60 days, 90 days. I don't invest today. So that's what we're seeing. And we're also seeing money coming out because of the capital gains rate might go up. So people like me are selling Microsoft, stocks like that sell a high dividend, because this year I'm going to pay 15% on a long-term dividend held more than a year. If I wait and sell it next year, I'll pay my regular tax rate, which for most of us is 28%. So that's a 13% tax increase on me. So that's another reason that we're seeing some of these money coming out of the stock market. The issue that I have is that there's a bubble being created in the market. There's no place to make yield. I heard a lady yesterday calling in on her CDs coming due that were paying 5%. Now she gets like less than 1%. So Jim Cramer on TV told her to go to Johnson & Johnson because they pay a high dividend. The problem with that is growth is slowing. And so people are climbing into these stocks for the gain, but underneath it, the profits are eroding, and that stock is going to drop. It's also being created by the government. They're paying $40 billion a month to the big banks to buy back mortgage-backed securities, those bad securities that they bundled. So the banks now have $40 billion a month to play with, and rather than loaning it out, although they are doing a little bit of business loaning, most of it's going into stock purchases, which is another bubble. So I'm afraid that we're overinflating the stock market with nothing below it. And so for that reason, I'm lightening up even the stocks that don't pay dividends. I'm getting out of those too. Just for the, not totally, you don't have to, this is not a panic thing. I still have my IRA and an annuity and stocks. I'm just gathering cash because if the market drops, then I'm going to have cash to jump in and buy some stocks. If the market goes up, then I'm sitting on cash that won't make anything, but the rest of my portfolio will go up, my IRA and everything else. If everything goes to heck, then I lose my IRA and I still have cash. So that's the way I'm looking at this right now.
You're hedging your bets a bit.
Amen.
It's going to be very interesting after the November elections. And do you think we are going to instantly see response or reaction in the stock market and the business world once we know who the winner is? Are we going to see... is it a situation of we're waiting for the trigger to be pulled, and that trigger is the election? And as soon as that happens, as soon as people have a clear-cut view, at least of the philosophy going to chart the course for the U.S. going forward, they're going to say, okay, that's the way we're going, and make their decisions. Are we going to see reaction immediately?
Immediately. Because you know if you get Romney, you're going to get the Keystone Pipeline. If you get Obama, no Keystone Pipeline. If you get Romney, you're going to get at least the idea that they're going to look at entitlements and welfare. If you get Obama, you're going to get continued welfare.
So the next day, you think we're going to start seeing some decided response?
I think Citigroup is going to love it. I think the Wall Street would love Romney. Romney's three biggest contributors, again, University of California, number one. A college. Number two is Microsoft. Number three is Google. All nerds. The people backing Obama, number one is Citigroup. Number two, I think, is J.P. Morgan, and Bank of America, I think, is number. All financials. I might have those in the wrong. Citigroup is first, I know. But also, so you got two clear groups. You either want big government or you want self-reliance. And if you get Obama, then people like me, my taxes are going to go up about $2,000 next year.
Why do you think the IT, the Google, the Microsoft, and the college, higher education like Obama? Because he wants to pour more money into education?
Come out of these, I know Microsoft was built in a garage, but most of these people come out of the college system, and I've been through the college system. You know, I was told that I came over here and I stole the land from these friendly Indians who lived in harmony and peace, and I was the big problem. And that's what a lot of these people at Microsoft and Google, they have this feeling that, oh, you know, we've taken so much, we have to give back. It's like, that's not the way it was at all. Indians over here, they took slaves, they fought each other, some of them lived in peace, some of them didn't. You know, I mean, it was not this awful stuff that you pay money for to learn at college. You know, it's just an ideology that you owe somebody something.
Okay. On that thought, I want to come back and visit that thought here in a moment. We need to take one more break. We'll be right back on Valley Talk.
Friday at Carmike 12.
Someone is coming for you.
Halloween is coming.
Don't tell anyone.
But let them know about Friday.
Once you see his image, who are you? You unleash his evil.
Sounds sinister.
The ancient church believed he consumes the souls of children.
Daddy, are you okay?
Take the kids. We have to leave here now.
Carmike 12 will help you.
Sinister, rated R, in theaters October 12th.
Friday at Carmike 12.
Protect the security of our fellow citizens. For the duration of the national emergency,
Society is collapsing. What can be done?
the statutes of Directive 10-289 shall remain in effect.
Perhaps Big Brother can help.
All copyrights shall be transferred to the federal government. All wages and other forms of income are hereby frozen.
Atlas Shrugged, Part 2, Friday at Carmike 12, Corvallis.
It's all happening so fast.
I won't be a slave.
Hey, here's Ray from Fordyce Farm. What do you have at your farm, Ray?
This election year, vote for corn at the election year corn maze at Fordyce Farm. Fordyce Farm has pumpkins, lots of entertainment, and is very inexpensive, plus lots of wonderful fall produce and baked goods. So, join us on the campaign Corn Trail at Fordyce Farm. Find us at Facebook, on the web, and at 7023 Sunnyview Road Northeast. Fordyce Farm, always something delicious and fun.
Here comes Ray from Fordyce Farm. Ray, what is it?
My corn maze is full of politicians. Yes, vote for corn at Fordyce Farm Election Corn Maze. We have a pumpkin patch, hay and pony rides, and lots more entertainment, plus wonderful fall produce and delicious baked goods. You can even go through our corn maze Friday and Saturday nights till 9 p.m. when the monsters come out. Find Fordyce Farm at Facebook, on the web, and at 7023 Sunnyview Road Northeast.
Lapdogs, yes men. Congress is full of people who blindly follow the party line and cave easily to special interests. You'd never confuse Peter DeFazio for one of those guys. Peter DeFazio has never been afraid to go against the flow or make some waves when he believes in something. That's why Peter stood up to leaders in both parties, leading the fight against the $700 billion Wall Street bailout. But this is nothing new. Peter has been fighting to crack down on Wall Street's reckless behavior for years. Peter supported the Wall Street Reform Act, but he's pushed for even stronger protections to safeguard the American people from ever bailing out Wall Street again. And to lower gas prices, Peter has fought big oil and gas speculators who care more about profits than people. Whether it's standing up to powerful Wall Street banks or greedy big oil executives, Peter DeFazio will take on anyone who threatens Oregon families.
I'm Peter DeFazio, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by DeFazio for Congress.
The Morning Update, weekday mornings on News Talk 1580, KGAL.
This Valley Talk, I'm Dave Adams. We've got, what have we got? About 5 minutes left to go here in the show. We were talking about something off mic that I really wanted to talk about with John. You were, we don't have to get anybody in trouble, mention names specifically, but this is interesting to me. You were walking past a college university classroom and you heard the instructor tell the students, you can't do this. You can't do that. Don't do this.
You can't work 40 hours a week.
You can't work 40 hours a week and go to school.
You can't take care of your children or babysit or anything like that. You just have to do your school. And I remember when I went to school, I worked every day. I went to school every day. I didn't have a family. That was just me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't believe the culture that we're being taught what we cannot do. You have got to take initiative and take care of things yourself. And we're losing that in this country. I had to force Judy to go find an advisor. She kept saying, oh, they'll contact me. Honey, there's one advisor for every 50 kids, go be proactive. So that's just, I would advise people to call your senators and call your congresspeople. It's 202-224-3121 is the phone number to the White House. And you can talk to Peter DeFazio and ask him how come he wants to do a transaction tax on every financial transaction that we do. Where if I buy a stock, I have to pay a tax. If I take out a debit, I have to pay a tax. It's like, you got to voice up and stop letting people walk all over us.
One of the things I'm seeing happening in our society today is this culture of, I would call it a culture of fear. People are scared. They don't know. I was just looking during the break on the internet, and in UK, one of the, if you go to Mail Online, I believe it's a publication in the United Kingdom, but this is England, so it's not only the United States, but I'm hearing this in the United States as well. Don't have any statistics I can cite here in the next couple of minutes, but the headline is, as prescriptions for anxiety drugs soar, why are so many of us falling victim to panic attacks? Because we are living in a culture of fear.
Well, a culture of fear and a culture of reality. Our average incomes decreased $5,000 since Obama's been in office. We used to average $55,000, now it's $50,000.
Right.
So household incomes are dropping all at the same time. Prices are going up. Gas is $4 a gallon. I mean, milk is, I do my little Costco inflation guide on the milk I buy. The last time I bought it was $4.91. I bought it just the other day. It was $5.39. That's a heck of a jump. So you have income going down, bills going up. People are going to get stressed.
And they are, and it's sad to see. I don't want to use this forum for what my answer to the solution is. I'm a pastor when I'm not here, so obviously you know what my answer is. But it concerns me to see this kind of culture and to see people that are being told, like the student was, you can't do that, you can't do that. When I was in high school, a senior in high school, I had a full-time job, and I went to school full-time. It was tough.
That's what we did.
But I did it.
Yeah, we all did. I mean, I don't know. I just see a sad thing when I have a 35-year-old 35-year-old man smoking a cigarette, telling me how happy he is that his unemployment got extended so he doesn't have to go to McDonald's yet. I mean, that's just not manly. That is not a man in my book.
I'd have to agree with that. So on that note, we'll end the show. Tomorrow we're going to be in Portland with Vet Talk and Victor Coons talking about issues affecting veterans on a statewide level. I'm Dave Adams. This is Valley Talk with John Gibson. Make it a great day, and don't live in fear, all right? Bye-bye.